Hello guys, welcome to another Beatles fan, the channel where we talk about the Beatles, of course, and we talk about news and records and everything about the four guys from Liverpool, right? I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyway, today we're gonna talk about news. We're gonna share some news about the Beatles and about Paul, and I'm gonna give my opinion about some of those topics. Right? Start off, yeah, the elephant in the room. Now and then, the next and final Beatles song ever gonna be released. Um, yeah, that seems like it's gonna be maybe the biggest thing the Beatles have ever put out since Anthology, right? And what's coming along with it? That's maybe the question that a lot of us are thinking right now. What are the Beatles gonna do to capitalize and to go along with Now and Then, because it's a huge moment. People are gonna be interested. People that don't care about Sergeant Pepper remix or Revolver remix or even Abbey Road remix, people are gonna want to know about the final Beatles song because the Beatles are the biggest band of all time. So what are they gonna do? Well, they're probably gonna do the Red and Blue albums. You can research by yourself if you'd like, but that's what's probably coming. It's been speculated for quite a while now, and dogs are barking on my street as we speak. I don't know what's going on there, but I hope they're okay. And yeah, Red and Blue albums. I only have the Red album here, the flag Japanese version, right? The flag variant of the Obi. Looks great, sounds awesome. I like Japanese pressings, although they're a bit low on the bass. Not that bassy. I love a bassy cut, but this sounds good. And people have been saying that they're gonna re-release Red and Blue albums and maybe even a 3 LP version, because the Red and Blue albums are 2 LP each, and there's speculation online about it being 3 LP each, which to me would be great. There's always been an underrepresentation of the Beatles catalog in their compilations, of course, especially if it's only one LP, trying to compile everything the Beatles ever did. That's tough. You're not gonna be able to, make a good compilation out of it. You may do something fun, but it won't be representative, right? And I may talk about this in the future, but what if they extended it and put Free as a Bird, Real Love, and of course Now and Then at the end of the Blue album? That would be a statement that these songs are just as important and just as valid as any other Beatles song that was released when the Beatles existed. That's something huge that they would have done, and they could do great things with it. For example, they could include Revolver here. Revolver is misrepresented here. It's only Eleanor Rigby and Yellow Submarine, if I recall correctly. I may be wrong, but I don't think I am. On the Red album, and there's tons of Rubber Soul tracks, but not so much of Revolver, which is a mistake to me. I think they should be equally treated in the Beatles compilations. Some may argue that Revolver should be treated even in a greater sense than Rubber Soul, that it represents more and it's a more important record for the Beatles. Don't know if I agree with that. I probably do, but I agree it's more important, but I don't agree it deserves more representation than Rubber Soul. I think they go toe to toe on that. Rubber Soul is also very important. It's the Weed album, of course. And we have speculation about the dates. Some people saying that it may be released on the 9th of October 2023, which of course would be John's third birthday, right? John would have completed 83 years old. So maybe they'll release it on the 9th. They've released a lot of stuff on the 9th of September 2009. That was when the stereo and mono boxes of the huge remasters that they did, they remastered everything all at once for the new generation, right? For the MP3 generation, which would become the streaming generation. And they also released the Beatles Rock Band, which is a part of my childhood. And that was released on the 999, right? Not to be German here, but on the 9th of September 2009. Apologize for that terrible joke. And that would make sense because that segues us into the next topic. Paul is getting back on tour with his tour Got Back, and he's gonna start off in Australia from the 18th of October to the 4th of November. I'm sorry. And that would make sense, right? If he released Now and Then on the 9th of October and started touring on the 18th, that would gain a lot of traction, a lot of attention for the tour. So I think Now and Then is gonna be announced in maybe August still. I don't see the Beatles announcing it on September and releasing it until December. I don't know. I don't think that makes sense. I think they would want to announce it a little bit earlier to get the hype train going, stuff like that. So I don't know. Paul's going to Australia, as I mentioned. He's gonna play on 6 concerts, 1 concert for each city he's visiting. He's gonna go to Melbourne, to Sydney, I don't know the other towns on the top of my head really, and he's speculated of coming to South America, and that's where I come in because I'm Brazilian, so I live in Brazil, and he speculated to come to my city, although it's on the stadium of my rival football team, which sucks. But it's recently opened, so it's gonna be one of the first huge concerts on that stadium, on that arena, and it's Belo Horizonte, of course, the city. You probably don't know that. So there's speculation, nothing confirmed. I don't know if he's coming to Argentina or going to Chile. He's probably gonna go to Argentina. I don't see him coming into South America, only to stay in Brazil. Argentina loves the Beatles too. So we have dates. We have dates that aren't confirmed, but the biggest Brazilian journalist regarding music and concerts said that Paul's gonna kick off the Beatles Got Back in Brazil on the 30th of November. So Australia ends on the 4th and he comes here on the 30th. Is there gonna be something in between? We don't know, right? But apparently he's playing on the 30th in Brasilia, is the capital of Brazil, and then he's gonna go to Belo Horizonte, my city, São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, of course, the 2 biggest cities in Brazil, somewhere in between the 30th of November and Paul's last concert in Brazil, which apparently is Curitiba on the 13th of December, right? So he's gonna stay here from the 30th of November to the 13th of December. So a good 14 days here, 2 weeks here in Brazil. I'm super excited. I've talked to my dad because he's a huge Beatles fan too. I think I'm gonna get the best seat possible here in my city, in Belo Horizonte, because it's easier to come and go to the concert. It's probably gonna be easier to get than São Paulo and Rio, but I'm also gonna try to go to São Paulo. I've talked to my dad. It's maybe 7 hours by car from here, an hour and 10 minutes by plane, but we're going by car, and I'm probably gonna go to both concerts. So if that is the case, which I truly hope it is, I'm gonna maybe cover, do a coverage of the concert for you guys. Maybe I'm gonna try to meet Paul somehow. I don't know how, but yeah, fingers crossed. Let's hope everything works. Let's hope I get that meeting with Paul, which pretty sure it's not gonna happen, but who knows, right? Life is a box full of chocolates, or whatever Forrest Gump said. Last but not least, Paul did a podcast called Behind the Hits. It's an Australian podcast, and it was released. Today is the 2nd, right? So it was released 2 days ago or 3 days ago on the 30th, right? On Sunday, last Sunday, and he did a quick 20-minute interview with the guy from the podcast, and he mentioned some things which I thought was interesting. He talked a lot about stuff we already know. He told the story about George writing the riff for "And I Love Her," which he's already told a billion times. But he said two things that I think is something that he maybe never mentioned before, or that I don't recall him mentioning it before, which is both about the concert. So it's a good way to end the video, also talking about the Got Back tour. First thing, he said that singing with John, as he does with John, is his isolated vocal, and I've got a feeling behind him while he plays. He said that it felt good. It felt like his long dead partner had come back for just a moment, to sing with him. But he also said the first time he did that, the interviewer asked him if he looked at the crowd and tried to see their reaction, because I imagine on the first concert that happened, I imagine that was a fucking huge surprise for everyone there. And he said that he was trying to hold his tears, and he was getting really emotional. He didn't say it that way, he kind of joked a bit about it, but we all know he misses John so much, right? From everything we've seen, especially now that he's a little bit older, we can see that he really misses John, and that's sad. That's something that makes me sad, but it's good to know that Paul enjoyed that moment with John, right? I really hope that was a peaceful moment for him, and maybe a moment of realization about life and whatnot. He also talked about the set list, and a cool thing about the set list that the guy asked, I think if I were to interview Paul, I think I would ask him about that. He asked, it's we've known your set list for a while, and are you gonna make changes throughout the Australian tour? And he said that probably not, basically. He compared his set list and his show to a Broadway show. He said that it was hard to change when you've got everything worked out, kind of an inertia. That's what he didn't mention inertia, but that's what came across to me. The inertia of playing the same songs and doing everything right, which he said it in a positive way, but I think that Paul should sometimes try and change things up. For example, I'm gonna mention one thing he did well, and one thing I wanted him to change for the Got Back tour if he comes back in Brazil. I loved when he added the brass guys to the concerts. I believe it was on the 2019 tour. Actually, no, I'm mistaken. This happened when he released Egypt Station. He the first time I think that the brass people showed up was maybe on his concert on the New York Grand Central Station that was live streamed to YouTube. I could be wrong, but that sounds right. That feels right. And that was a great addition to the set list and the show, especially Letting Go. It's one of my favorite Wings songs, and I think it sounds so good with that brass. And I did see him play before he added the brass in Brazil. I think it was in Salvador. I went to 6 Paul McCartney concerts, so things got a bit cloudy, but I did see him in Salvador playing Letting Go without the brass, and it just sounds way worse. It sounds much better if when they add the brass, and it's such a vibe, such a bop. I love Letting Go. And one thing I don't like is when he plays songs I don't think are quite that good. For example, he, on the Got Back tour, while he was touring on the US last year, he played Come On To Me, For You, and Dance Tonight. I understand Dance Tonight, it's a lighter song to light up the mood, but I don't like it. I don't like the song. Come On To Me is okay if you want to include an Egypt Station song. To me, if I had to choose, it would be I Don't Know. I think I Don't Know is one of the greatest songs Paul did in a while, maybe in the 21st century, maybe. It's up there. It's an awesome, one of my favorites. But For You, I think I like it. I'm not a For You hater, as most people are. I just think it's kind of obnoxious at this point, you know? So why doesn't he play McCartney 3? He played Women and Wives in the soundcheck. I know that for a fact. Why doesn't he play it on live? It's such a good song, and it's a deep cut, and that would make me really happy if he did. Maybe he does that. I don't know. It's been a while since McCartney 3 has released, which to me is wild because it feels like yesterday. But anyway, what do you guys think of everything I mentioned? I always love to dwell on stuff, so I thought it was gonna be a quick video. I'm talking for 17 minutes straight, but you know what? I'm just another Beatles fan. So see you guys later. Thanks for watching.